Okay, in this section, we're going to focus on adding some of the facial features, such as the mouth and the eyes. The mouth isn't really going to be a big deal, but the eyes we're going to have to be careful about, or there's some things to consider when doing the eyes and the head turn. So let's do the mouth first. That'll be a little easier. Mouth. So I'm going to add a layer for the mouth. I'm going to add a layer for the eyes. Maybe for the pupils as well. I'll see. I'll leave off pupils and have them as part of the eyes at the moment, but may change my mind on that. Okay, so we'll do the mouth first. So using my first drawing, okay, drawing the mouth from the first frame, and draw the mouth from the last frame. There we go. And let's delete these. Have this one start early. We'll move this reference too so that they're all linked at the same time. Okay. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one's a little bit slower at the end. Well, it's not really a big deal. Okay. Let's turn off the onion skin for the frames that are the head and just focus on the mouth. What does it look like here? Okay. And if you're drawing and it connects the exposures from your previous frame to the frame that you're on and you don't want to do that, you could also do create empty drawing, which is also Shift Option R. Yeah, Option Shift R. Okay. You don't want to change you can change the facial expression during a head turn, but just don't go too wild. Keep in mind that this is all in the span of maybe a second, even less than a second, starting on frame 18 and ending about 31. That's like half a second. So this is very fast. If you have the character change expressions too much during this period, it will look manic and hard to read. Okay. Okay. All right. So now let's add the eyes. So I mentioned before that there's something to consider when you're doing the eyes, and that is during the middle of the head turn. What are you going to do with the eyes? Want to make sure to avoid having the eyes wide open, staring straight ahead, and the eyes staring in the same direction compared to the head the entire time the head is turning, because that's unnatural. You would either want to have the eyes look a head, so shift before the head starts shifting. Or you may want to have the head linger, or the eyes linger in the direction that they're looking at, and then the head start to turn, eyes linger, and then they turn. Another thing that to consider is you may want to have a blink. In fact, it's not uncommon to have a blink in the middle of the head turn because the character is going to be refocusing. Okay. Okay. So we have the starting position and the end position. Let's go back. And for the middle, I'm going to want to close the eyes. You may not always want to have the eyes closed, but typically we would. Maybe if the character was very alert, very um, nervous or surprised, or very, very high alert, then you may want to have the eyes open the whole time. But typically there's going to be a blink because of the refocusing. And you may want to have the blink or the eyes closed for longer than one frame. One frame is usually too short to read, so I'll have his eyes closed again in this frame. Okay. So I had shift selected these three frames and then held down Option Shift R, and that made all three of these blank keys. Okay, so adjusting the onion skinnings to focus on the later frames now instead of the previous frames. These eyes are a little too low. Let's bring them up a little higher. See how that looks? The eyes are getting too close together. Okay, and if we want to try to slow down the beginning a little bit, we can shift select and hit plus. Okay, there we go. Setting a little bit more in betweens for the very beginning to kind of slow it down. And let's try adding the eyebrows. Now, one thing about expressions, if you want an expression to feel extreme, what can help with that is adding creases to the skin of the face, wherever that extreme expression would be. So if it's a very wide smile, adding creases to the edge of the lips or the corners of the mouth. In this case with the eyebrows, adding a little crease in between the eyebrows. Or if the expression's really mad, you can add some forehead wrinkles. Just be careful. It's best to add those kind of things during an extreme expression. If you have them there all the time, then that may make the character look a bit old. So you just have to be mindful of that. Okay. We just got to watch out to make sure that the shape of the eyebrows, and really anything, the eyes, the mouth, the general shapes that make them, are consistent during the head turn. So if they're squarish or angular, you don't want them to become very soft and circular in the middle of the animation for no reason. Okay. And that is adding facial features to your head turn. You can go through this with, this part is mostly about the features that aren't going to have overlapping action. They're more features that are going to stay roughly in the same place. So the eyes might close or open, the mouth might open or close, but the position of them on the face will remain the same relatively throughout. The next section, we're going to talk about adding features that have overlapping action, such as bangs, long ears, antennas, hats, any of those type of elements.